Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of The Devil's Due. I am your host, Carl Duty, and with me, as always, is the man who never leaves the house without his shark-repellent bat spray, Mr. Drew Celestino.
Yeah.
It feels, at least to me, like it's been forever since we've done this.
It kind of has.
I know to the listeners at home, it doesn't feel like we've skipped a beat. I mean, we've given them a lot the past couple of weeks. Our episodes have been pretty beefy, and this week's going to be no exception.
Yeah.
But it's been like we didn't record last Tuesday because scheduling changes, and we didn't record last Friday because we recorded the Friday before. So it's been almost 2 weeks since...
2 weeks.
Since we're getting 2 weeks.
That's right.
So, yeah. How you doing, sir?
Good. Long break, but not really. I mean, you know.
Yeah, it felt like it.
Like it.
Court's been in recess, but now it's safe to say court is back in session.
Sure is, man.
So let's start things off with our opening statement. Sir, how was your weeks?
Good.
Good?
I could probably pack in a lot of stuff here, but let's cut to the gist and the good stuff. And the good stuff being one thing that you're actually going to hear on this show, that being the epic Devil's Brew segment.
Yes.
Kitchen Brew. Have we decided what was it? I forgot.
Devil's Brew and Kitchen Stew.
Kitchen Brew and Kitchen Stew. Whatever. Either way. Big bad segment for that this week. So we'll get to that momentarily. And other than that, dude, pretty much not business as usual, but not business whatever. Long Cold Dark had a show.
Yeah, how'd that go?
It was good. It was 90-some degrees in the venue.
You wore shorts.
Yeah, I never wear shorts.
You were making
on
a big deal out of it.
It is a big deal. I don't wear shorts on stage,
well,
but I had to, unfortunately.
It's shorts.
Never wear shorts on stage.
Adam Malone didn't wear shorts.
No, he did not. He manned up. I should have as well. Now that the photos are coming back, I regret the shorts. But at the time, you could have after the show, you could have wrung me out into a picture. It was that disgusting.
I don't think anyone's going to fault you with shorts. 90 degrees indoors.
Yeah. I'm a pro. I should be better than that. Anyway, shorts. Anyway, it was good. And that aside, the big event, I don't think I talked about it because I'm pretty sure it was last week in our little intermission. Okada Omega 2.
I could not make it
happened.
out. I was very bummed for that. Did Kenny win as predicted?
Kenny did not.
No.
But he did not lose either.
Does he have the belt?
It's a 60-minute draw. Champion retains. 60 minutes.
That sucks.
Incredible match. The first one was already incredible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Saw that one.
This might be better.
Wow.
From a storytelling standpoint and the physical aspect of it, just mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Yeah, wrestling treated us very good that weekend.
Yeah, for those of you who may be new to the show this week, welcome. We don't shy away from our passions here on the show. The show is primarily about Daredevil comics and television, but we definitely embrace all facets of geek culture. And two things Drew is very passionate about that will come out in this episode: wrestling and beer.
That's correct, sir. Don't forget video games, which we're going to talk about as well.
Oh, yeah, we got that.
So, yeah, and E3 happened as well this week, which we're going to get into wholesale. So, yeah, but the big things being the Kenny Omega Okada match, which was mind bending, and I got to meet Greg Cook, the co-founder of Stone Brewery, my favorite brewery for the last 15 years. So that was pretty awesome, and I got a nice 30-minute interview with Greg that we are going to put into this episode for our Kitchen Brew, Devil's Brew, whatever we're calling it this week segment.
I believe we called it Kitchen Brew.
We'll go with that.
Been a while since we did. We've done mini ones here and there, but an official
I usually keep y'all informed of my brew days and whatnot. this is not a brew day segment. This is a full-blown interview with one of the pioneers of the craft brewing industry, if you will, and a really cool guy whose philosophies line up really well with mine, which is why they're my favorite brewery. So
nice.
We had a great conversation. So you're going to hear that today. So
awesome.
Yeah, very exciting, and it was great. He, the founder of Stone, bought me a beer. What more can I say to that?
That's like Stanley giving you a comic book.
Kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about you, man? How was the week?
It's been a pretty good week and a half. Going back to not this past Saturday, but Saturday before, we had the first ever Duty Dice Day.
Ah, yes.
Where I just sent out a bunch of invitations. I said, hey, folks, my place Saturday, all day long board gaming.
Giddy up.
And it was really good. We got started around 2 o'clock. And it wasn't like a flood of people coming in, but it was a steady influx of people coming in. And we had games going the whole day. We went from about 2 p.m. to midnight.
Nice.
It was a really great, good time. I got to play a couple new games. I got to play Forbidden Desert, which was a lot of fun. And then got to play Elysium, which I really like. I might actually like it better than Seven Wonders.
That's a strong statement, man.
It was really good. Also... played Time Stories for the first time.
We started Time Stories at game night as well.
I've come to learn that with Time Stories, that is all you do on a game night.
That's like a game. You need some time.
That's minimum 3-hour game.
Yeah. It's a big boy.
Yeah, it's a big one. So that was cool. And then from one Saturday to the next, didn't really do a lot. Had a couple X-Wing sessions in here and there.
Yeah, your X-Wing sessions are picking up.
Yes. And Julie tried X-Wing for the first time.
Is this going to be a family activity?
Fingers crossed.
2 tackle boxes?
More ships. All the ships. No, she wanted to try it out. She wanted to see like what drew me to and whatnot. And we played a very bare bone game. Like no obstacles or anything, no upgrades or anything, just 3 barebone X-Wings against 3 barebone TIE Interceptors, and just taught her the basics of the game. She said she enjoyed it and was not opposed to trying it out again.
Who won?
We stopped playing.
All right, fair enough.
It was getting late in the night.
It can catch up on you.
Yeah.
All right.
So... there was that, and then this past Saturday was an X-Wing tournament at Dave and Adams. It was the first one that I had ever gone to. Like, when I first got into X-Wing, I was like, you know what? I'm just kind of getting this so I can have something to play with my friends, to bring it to our game nights, to see if you guys want to play. And, you know, I've been playing a lot with my friend Adam. And more and more I got into it, and more I'm learning the game, getting into the meta. I was just like, I really want to try out a tournament. And there's a really awesome Facebook group, Western New York X-Wing, and they post, you know, weekly meetups and tournaments and things like that. And I've met some quality people at weekly X-Wing night at Collectors Inn on Delaware, and that's been a lot of fun. Been learning a lot from them, and had my first tournament Saturday, and it was really cool. It was a really fun experience. I did not win.
Okay.
I did win.
At all?
No, I won my first match.
Okay.
Won my first match. Made a critical mistake in my second match, and then just got trounced in my third match.
Ouch.
Yeah. So in my second match, I was focusing on one target, and before finishing off that target, I shifted over to another one.
So in other words, you should have stay on target. Stay on target.
I should have.
Yeah.
I really should have. So the tournament format is different from when you're just doing casual play. Typically with casual play, you just kind of play to the last ship standing. Tournament matches are timed.
Oh.
75 minutes.
Okay.
And if there are ships remaining at the end of the 75 minutes, it goes by point structure. So each ship is worth the points that you build into it.
Okay.
And then you just deduct what you lost and what you destroyed.
And stuff. Yeah, okay.
Stuff like that. So it was really cool. You know what? Not for nothing. I enjoyed it. I may have enjoyed it a little bit more than fighting game tournaments.
Wow.
Because don't get me wrong, like, I love fighting games. Fighting games are one of my first passions. I'm never going to stop going to fighting game tournaments. But the hard truth is I am terrible at fighting games. And I rarely, if ever, make it past the first round of a fighting game tournament. With a fighting game tournament, you get there, you kind of wait while they're putting the brackets together and whatnot. Can take anywhere from like half an hour to an hour and a half. And then you've got to wait for your name to be called. And then you have a match, which is like, 15 minutes at the most. And then depending on how the brackets shuffle out, you could be playing again right away, or you could be waiting like a half hour, 45 minutes before you play again. And I mean, you get to socialize and whatnot and watch other matches going on. It's really cool. But like with the X-Wing tournament, I was there for 4 hours. I was not playing for maybe a half an hour.
So you're occupied.
Yeah.
Doing stuff.
Yeah. So
and I feel like maybe X-Wing also is just, maybe your mind is getting a little more strategic and a little less reflex oriented.
It's not so much that as the, like, to be seriously competitive in fighting games, you have to put in work. You have to legitimately train, like, minimum couple hours a day. Like, if you want to hone your abilities to compete on a pro level, that's equivalent to a full-time job. You've got to put in minimum 5 hours a day. I'm married and I have a kid. I don't have that time anymore.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the fighting game community. I love the fighting game scene. Don't get me wrong, but with X-Wing, I can learn and develop my abilities in less amount of time.
And there's less waiting around.
I can sit down and build a squad and kind of look at what works and whatnot, and then just kind of go from there. And that doesn't require me taking away time from my wife or son.
Okay.
So you can like learn and develop on YouTube and things like that. So yeah, I'm really enjoying the X-Wing scene. That being said, I do have a fighting game tournament coming up this weekend. I will be competing in Street Fighter and Tekken. Lucas wants to go out.
He always does.
He
in
does.
and out.
Lucas, now he doesn't want to go out. The podcast mascot, Lucas. So yeah, this weekend coming up, have a tournament. So that was last Saturday. Sunday was Father's Day.
Twas.
And I'm just going to say right here now, Julie won Father's Day.
Oh, yeah?
Julie won Father's Day. She kind of won on Saturday because she knows that Father's Day is it's bittersweet for me. Having lost my father much earlier than I should have. But now having William as my son, it's a mixed emotions day. So she gave me my presents on Saturday. She got me the Imperial Shuttle for X-Wing, which is a support ship. It's not primarily an offensive ship. Although I do have a problem in the fact that it does not have a rear firing arc, and there are clearly guns on the back of it.
That seems odd.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she got me my first huge ship. You have an X-Wing, you have regular size ships, you have large ships, which are like the Millennium Falcon and like, the Imperial Shuttle, the Slave One, those are large ships. Then she got me a huge ship. She got me the Imperial Raider, which is akin to the Rebel Corvette, the Tantive 4.
Okay.
The ship that's being shot at in the opening beginning of Star Wars.
So now you need a Tantive 4 to offset for the Rebels. I mean, it's only fair.
That's how it works. So yeah. So that was Father's Day. She totally won it and just made me feel really loved and appreciated. So yeah.
All right.
That was that. I think that was it for my week. Yeah, that was it. So cool.
We're caught up.
We are caught up on the weeks. So the opening statements are done. Now it's time for some cross-examination. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so appreciative of you listening to us, giving our show a shot. If you would like to reach out to us, send us questions, make suggestions to the show. As you will see now, we typically read those questions on the show. You can find us on Twitter at Devils Do Pod. You can go to facebook.com/Devils Do Pod. You can email us at thedevilsdopod@gmail.com. Or you can find all these resources and stream new episodes of our show from thedevilsdopodcast.com. That being said, we've got some questions.
All right.
Starting out, questions by longtime listener, Mr. Tom Fenzel. Says, hey guys, my wife and I found out we are having a daughter in September.
Hey!
Congratulations, Tom.
Man.
Way to go. Other than the Wonder Woman New 52 run and the new Miss Marvel book, what comic should I look forward to sharing with my daughter?
Wow. I don't know.
Good question. You know what? The She-Hulk run. Not the current one. The Charles Soule one.
Yes, sure, absolutely.
Before it.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
I would agree. I would say almost any She-Hulk, except for the one where she oddly sleeps with the Juggernaut, because that was a thing that happened.
We love She-Hulk, but she...
Hey,
gets around a little
bit. You be nice.
I'm being nice. I'm just making an observation. The list is long and distinguished.
All right. Yes. I would. Yeah, that's a good run. I like that She-Hulk run a lot. Avoid Alias at all costs.
Yeah. Until
your daughter's much, much older.
Yes. We're not saying Alias is bad. Alias is good. It's a great read. Not for kids.
No. I guess I take it he means books with strong female protagonists, and unfortunately this is not my area of expertise. So Miss Marvel, I would say definitely. The She-Hulk run, Wonder Woman, and short of that, I'm coming up empty, but this is where female listeners might be able to chime in and help us out.
Yeah, and that is, and I think we're coming up empty mainly because the age concern.
As well.
If she, if she was like turning 16 and you wanted to get her and stuff, there's some more stuff we could recommend.
Kids' books, though, I'm not really sure. If she likes, I mean, it's not necessarily girl-centric, but I know Robert Kirkman had that kids' book, what was it called? Super Dinosaur, I think it was called. It was an all-ages kids' book.
Oh, holy crap. Hero Bear and the Kid.
Okay.
By Mike Kunkel.
All right.
Is one of the most amazing comics I have read in the past 5 or 6 years. It's fantastic artwork, and the story encompasses everything that was awesome about being a kid.
Okay.
So, yes, definitely Hero Bear and the Kid.
Two strong female-led books that I could think of are Lazarus and Velvet, but again,
not age
appropriate at all. But they are really good. So when she's maybe of age, I would put those out there.
Tom's next question is, what are your favorite Batman 66 memories? We are going to get into this in the news.
Okay.
Carl, how do you find time to do a game night almost each week? Tom, really simple. My wife is freaking amazing. She's extremely generous with understanding that not only do we need to spend time together and grow our relationship continually as husband and wife, but she understands that time apart is valuable too. So she will do bike rides during the week and do different stuff during the week, and I am normally on Friday nights. She's all for me coming over here and playing games. She's not huge into board games yet, knock on wood. But she is absolutely incredible in that she loves me and lets me come out and play.
Tolerates you.
And I don't say that in a derogatory way at all. Drew.
Yeah.
I saw you bottle some beers.
Yes, sir.
I should be bottling mine today.
Awesome.
Want to trade a couple?
Yeah.
Is a summer ale? Mine is the summer ale.
Okay. Yeah,
okay.
Let's do it.
All right.
I didn't know you brewed. Now I know this.
And knowing is half
That's great,
brutal.
Man.
BREWTAL.
I see what you did there.
I know. I'm good. All right, Tom, thank you very much for your questions. Next questions come from Mr. Manuel Marin, our friend from Staten Island, New York.
Yeah, Manny.
just finished reading an article from The Ringer listing their top 50 good bad movies.
Okay.
As I look to the Devil's Due for
bad movies, okay.
Yeah. As I look to the Devil's Due for 95% of my geek-related news, I'm still waiting for you guys to join me in the Doctor Who Kool-Aid. Yeah, that's not going to happen. No,
sorry.
Not that we, dislike Doctor Who. We've got so much stuff on our geek plate as it is. I was curious to hear from both of you what your top 5 good bad movies are.
Ooh.
I can think of 4 right off the top of my head.
You better go first. I'm not good at lists, as we know.
Machete.
Okay.
Machete Kills.
Okay.
Deep Blue Sea.
Okay.
Shoot 'em Up. And I just thought number 5 would probably be ranked number 1 for my favorite good bad movie, Jaws: The Revenge.
All right.
AKA Jaws 4.
I don't know that I really am prepared for a good bad movie listing. I'm blanking on a whole right now, actually. I guess maybe stuff I grew up with that was bad, but if I watched it now, I might realize it's bad and it wouldn't be my favorite anymore, like the Police Academy movies or something like that. Does that count?
Sure.
Those are bad, right? They're not good.
Well, the first couple are funny.
Okay. Yeah. I generally avoid bad movies if I can.
Well, you know what he's talking about.
Oh, sure. But the ones I like, my big exposure to bad movies is really just watching them through Mystery Science Theater. I don't.
RoboCop 3.
I wouldn't call it a favorite. It's a movie I've seen. I guess that counts. No, so generally, I don't seek out bad movies the way I should. Hobo with a Shotgun is fantastic, but I think that's the kind of movie that's it was bad on purpose.
Well, that's kind of like Machete.
Yeah, okay, I guess that's fair. So, Hobo with a Shotgun, Black Dynamite. Black Dynamite's top of the list. Top of the list is Black Dynamite because the movie's incredible. So that's about all I got from the top of my head. But
all right, cool, yeah. Manny. Thank you very much for your questions. Now we move on to the Michael Brody and Jake of the Devil's Due. Jay will get that.
All right.
It's
okay.
2 characters from Jaws.
The Brody gave it away.
Yeah. We have regular contributors. Tom and Manny are definitely semi-regular. We appreciate them. But 2 guys we can count on every week are Mr. J. Gelsomino and Mr. Alan Waiters.
They could get questions. A spin-off, basically.
They probably could. A podcast show that they host where we send them questions.
Oh, my God.
And that's just it.
Full circle. Inception.
Okay, so starting out with Mr. Alan Waiters. His first question for us, and again, this is going to be something we handle in news. Carl and Drew, what was your favorite thing you saw at E3 press conference?
We're going to talk about that.
We're going to get that in news. Carl, it seems like remastering is a thing now. Do you like remastered games? Do you think it will be like Hollywood reboots movie franchises? I am not a fan of remastered games that have come out and if the original game came out in the past decade, I don't much see the need to go back and remaster it. I think you're just trying to milk the cow again. God of War remastered and whatnot. I mean, it looks perfectly fine in the initial release. I'm all for, and I'm sure you can attest to this, sir, going back and putting a fresh coat of paint on really old games. Perfect example, the Ultra Street Fighter 2.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to these things. But it's all in the execution. It's all in the execution, and I got to be careful because I do enjoy some, and I don't enjoy others, and I have to be careful because as a musician and as a fan of movies, I got really strong thoughts on remasters and special editions, if you will. Generally speaking, I think if something is really popular initially, it's for a reason, and it resonated for a reason. And trying to if it's that good, it will still resonate later on. So leave well enough alone, you know. But in video games, it seems to be a little different. Unfortunately, video games seem to have a different kind of culture than film or music, and video game culture seems to be a little more up for it, because something that I just have never been able to really fully get behind is the video game mentality of better graphics. It looks better now. I don't care.
I'm all for, and Street Fighter HD Remix did this. The recent HD version of Tecmo Bowl did this. I'm all for remasters of classic games if you have the option to switch back to the original graphics.
That's certainly nice to have, sure.
I'm all for that.
Sure.
But like if you go in and you're changing, if you're changing the gameplay along with the appearance, then no, just kind of leave it alone.
Okay.
So yeah, that's where I stand on that. Drew.
Hey.
Microsoft is ushering in the age of 4K gaming. We'll get to that. We'll get to that news.
They're going to try.
Is 4K gaming the new trend, or will quality games like Mario and Metroid still be the staples for gaming?
We're going to get into this a little deeper when we get into E3, but my snap judgment, based on what I know, where things stand right now with televisions and what the consumers understand about televisions, 4K gaming is a niche thing, and it's going to stay that way.
I mean, 4K televisions are getting cheaper, but there's not the night and day difference.
That's really the crux of it.
Between 4K and HD.
Yeah, which we'll talk about more.
And the thing is, like any other jump in resolution, it's not just the television you need. It's the television, it's the video game system, it's the wiring, it's the way you hook it up. It's not as simple as just buying a new television. But television, the TVs are getting cheaper, which I'm always a fan of, which shows that, yes, 4K is the next resolution step. But again, I don't think it's going to be a huge rush to do it.
Nope, not for a while. So eventually, yeah. Now, no. So,
alrighty, on to Mr. J. Gelsomino. I know you guys have been asking for suggestions on what to read comics-wise. Have we been asking for suggestions on what to read?
We put it out there to ask people what they're reading.
We did in a past episode. I'm getting back into the game, finally. I just bagged and boarded some old books and forgot how much I dislike that process. When you let it build up, how much I dislike that process when you let it build up. I know I'm about 75 events and 15 heel turns behind. Can you throw out some suggestions on what to pick up? Also, can you let me know if the following books are still good or still being printed?
Wow, okay.
From when I left off. Lazarus?
Yes, still good.
Thief of Thieves?
You know what? I haven't seen a new issue of that in a while, but as far as I know, it's still going.
Jupiter Circle? Jupiter Circle, Jupiter Legacy?
Yeah. I don't know.
Velvet
is still going. I think it's on a little hiatus right now. It might have ended, actually. I'm not positive on that. I got to check my stack, but I think it either ended or it's on hiatus.
Nailbiter?
Not my forte. I think actually it ended, though, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Jay, I would suggest not trying to backfill your catalog. Just grab the trades.
Yes,
and because if you're getting back into it just to read it, not as like quote unquote a collector, just get the trades. That'll be the cheaper, faster way for you to catch up on stuff that you've missed out. As far as what currently is good, I know you're going to get vastly different answers from Drew and myself, but for myself, DC, Superman, Green Arrow, Batman are fantastic. What else? As far as Marvel goes, Amazing Spider-Man, Iron Fist, Daredevil, and Champions are your go-tos. Deadly Class is still good. I know you read that. So yeah, those
are your picks.
Those are my picks.
I wouldn't recommend to you a single Marvel or DC book. Not one. I hate
not even Daredevil.
Not even Daredevil. For him, no.
Okay, so you're going based on his personal taste.
Yeah, I would say
right.
no, not at the moment. No, not a chance. But then again, it sounds to me like Jay needs some Saga in his life. We all need Saga in our life. Saga is life. Jesus, Saga's life hits the feels in so many ways. It's so good. I also like. We've gone over these before. I like Paper Girls a lot.
Reborn.
Reborn's it's okay. It's a Millar book where it's high concept enough to. It's a movie pitch. Mm-hmm. All Millar books are movie pitches. That's all they are. And if you can get behind that, then go for it. Kill or Be Killed, the new book by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, really good actually. With that team, you can never go wrong. That's the stuff off the top of my head that I would absolutely recommend. And if he was reading Lazarus, I would definitely say to keep reading Lazarus because it's really good and it's just getting better. Things are building to a big crescendo coming up. So, creator owned is still where it's at for me.
Yep,
that's what I got to say.
Alrighty, Drew.
Yeah.
Now that King in Tekken 7 has been vastly improved by getting Okada'd.
Yes.
And then he has in parentheses, the Rainmaker is a lariat, Carl, not a clothesline.
Amen, sir.
That's fine. It's still a boring move.
Not really. Not when you see Kenny sell it, it ain't.
What video game characters would you give a wrestler makeover to, and what wrestler would they be?
What video game characters would I turn in? I have a radical new idea for Zangief.
He's already a wrestler.
He's already a wrestler. I can't make... King is a wrestler too, though. They just gave him Okada's gear.
Yeah.
So, let's take Zangief and let's make him basically like a Rusev clone. We can make him into Rusev. He's already, Russian, Bulgarian, whatever. So, Zangief will then have the submission move where he... I don't know what it's called, but we're going to give Zangief a submission move.
Okay.
And we're going to call him Handsome Zangief, and he's going to throw a fish at you at some point. You just have to trust me. And,
all right,
he's going to ride into the match on a tank.
Okay.
And it's going to be epic.
All right. Anytime you can involve a tank.
Right?
It's usually going to get epic.
Absolutely. There you go.
Yeah, all right. I can't think of anything off the top of my head at the moment. Carl, you're stuck on an island. You're allowed 5 full runs of a comic storyline. You're also stuck with Swamp Thing and the Blob, and it's really hot, making the island smells like a Taco Bell dumpster fire in Santa Fe. What comics do you select to distract you from the smell? All right. 5 comic runs. Okay, Dark Knight Returns. Return of the Sinister Six, the Eric Larson book.
Do you consider The Crow a run?
Yeah, I'll go with The Crow.
Dark Knight over Year One, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dark Knight Returns is superior. Wow. To Year One.
Wow.
I didn't say Dark Knight Strikes Again.
Good call. Good call there.
Kingdom Come.
Okay.
Definitely Kingdom Come.
This is like a Sophie's Choice, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. See, I went with the Return of the Sinister Six because it just gives you kind of everything. But strictly for nostalgic reasons, I'll also say Torment. The initial storyline from the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man book.
Oh, all right.
We got jacked up by the lizard.
Okay.
Yep.
There you go.
There you go.
You made it.
And the Frank Miller run of Daredevil.
We're going to start putting out these requests to for listener questions. Stop asking us to make lists.
Yeah,
lists are hard.
Kind of brings the show to a grinding halt. We don't pre-screen the questions. Well, I kind of do, but yeah.
Somewhere out there, someone is screaming, maybe you should.
Yeah, and that's fair.
There's only so many hours in a day, sir.
That's fair. If you are going to do a list, keep it to like 3.
Yeah, three I could maybe cobble together. Maybe.
All right, that wraps up for cross-examination. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. And remember, if you would like to have a question right on the show, just send it in to one of those social media outlets that was mentioned earlier. We will mention again before the end of the show. That being said, Drew, it is time for us to dig into the news and the case files.
Okay.
We have to start, unfortunately, with the passing of, I wouldn't really say a dark knight, but a Silver Age knight.
He was the bright knight.
Yeah,
as
he was the bright knight.
Tossed around.
Last week, was it last week?
It was last week.
Yeah, last week we lost Adam West. Passed away at 88 years old. I mean, dude lived a full life. I guess it was sudden onset pancreatic cancer.
That'll do it.
That age, when sudden and onset, I guess there wasn't much that could be done. It's unfortunate. We're kind of living in a time now where our childhoods are going to start dying off. And granted, the 1966 Batman was not, in its original airing, was not part of our childhoods because neither one of us were born then.
No.
But
no.
His Batman was definitely part of our childhood in a lot of different ways. So kind of going back to one of our previous questions, what was your favorite memory of Batman 66, or just as from Adam West in general, because I don't want to limit him to just being Batman.
I would hate to limit him to just being Batman, but I mean, he was Batman, you know?
Yeah.
My favorite memory, I guess, would be just as a kid, I was exposed to Batman through Batman the movie. So
1989, Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson.
So being really familiar with the movie, then I saw the show, and it was like, wow, this is not that.
This is different.
So it was kind of jarring in a way. But what I did like about the show was all the different villains. Like, they really threw a lot on the screen. Like, you got a wide array of villains. And I like seeing Burgess Meredith in it because I liked Rocky and stuff. And, he was Mickey. So I got to see Burgess Meredith as the Penguin and do his thing. Mr. Freeze, I always thought he was really cool on the Batman.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
What?
Mr. Freeze is really cool.
Oh, I didn't even realize, but he was though.
Ice freezes. Killed the dinosaurs. The Ice Age.
He had like in the one episode, he had like the room, and he had to like push buttons to like temperature control segments of the room, and it was like red and blue. That was really cool.
Yeah,
I like that stuff like that. Like really, just struck me at that age. And the crossover episodes of the Green Hornet, I like those a lot too because I like the Green Hornet a lot.
Yeah, I always loved Frank Gorshin as the Riddler.
Oh yeah.
That was great.
And I liked how he had different costumes. So like the Riddler had the leotard.
He had the leotard,
but then he had the suit.
Yep.
I
with the bowler with the question mark.
I thought that was so cool that he had two different outfits.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a Batman fan, Batman's my second favorite character. Especially people in our age group, you kind of went through phases with the 66 Batman. Like when you discovered it, depending on if you discovered it before or after being exposed to Batman in comics or the 89 Batman movie. Because at that point, like during our childhoods in comics, he had been restored to like quote unquote the Dark Knight.
Right.
You kind of go through phases with the 66 Batman. If it's like the first thing you encounter, you love it because it's like Batman. Like I was first introduced to Batman through the Superpowers cartoon.
Okay.
And then the 66 Batman was kind of a natural transition from that.
Sure.
But then like you see, like you said, the 89 Batman, and you get introduced to books like Dark Knight Returns or just Batman and comics in general, and you see what the character is intended as Bill Finger created him. And then you kind of like, you have a gut reaction to 66 Batman. You're like, oh, this is stupid and whatnot. And then, you get older, your tastes mature, and then you get to appreciate 66 for what it is.
Right.
And center to all that was Adam West.
Absolutely.
And he got the joke before anyone else did. He knew that they were making satire, that they were making comedic satire that wasn't meant to be a serious quote-unquote. And not for nothing. For the time that it was produced, it was an accurate representation of what the character was in the comics.
At that time, yeah.
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 So, I mean, he went through that unfortunate phase that, like, a lot of actors and genre movies or shows go through. Typecast, and they kind of reach that low point. Then, you know, from everything I've read, the turning point for him was the episode of the animated series, Batman the Animated Series, Beware the Gray Ghost. People heard him in that, and he slowly but surely started getting work again after that.
That's great.
And then, you know, he became known to an entire new generation, not as Batman, but as Adam West, mayor of Quahog,
Family Guy,
and just like a whole bunch of other things. And the man lived a full and amazing life, and we're lesser for not having him with us anymore. But what he left us is a gift that will span generations and never die.
No, that's well said, man.
All righty. Rest in peace, sir. We will miss you. All right. Before we get to E3, last week, Friday night. Was it last week Friday night? No, it was 2 weeks ago. See, this whole, like, us not recording, we're so thrown off.
We're totally off. 2
weeks ago, during a game of the NBA Finals, Marvel dropped the first Black Panther trailer on us.
We are the last people to react to it on the internet.
We are, really.
But we will react to it.
Yep.
We recorded that night.
We did. We recorded that night, too, and we're like, oh, maybe they'll get out before. No, they didn't.
It didn't. We wrapped up, and then they premiered it late.
It was the old frustrations we had when we started out the show, and we're recording on Friday nights before we moved to Tuesdays, and it was just like, come on.
Yeah.
So, trailer's out. What'd you think, Drew?
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it looks incredible.
Yeah.
I think it looks absolutely incredible.
It's really, I mean, from the visuals, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with the exception of Guardians of the Galaxy, has always operated in real-world-ish situations where, yes, this is New York, but certain rules apply to this world that allow for more fantastical things to happen, and you accept the rules of that. This is kind of moving beyond that, and that we're completely moving out of cities and whatnot. We're going to Wakanda. And I was wondering how they were going to represent Wakanda, if they were going to do it kind of like a more realistic city, or were they going to go full comic book Wakanda with it, and they are going full comic book Wakanda.
It's full sci-fi wonderland. But the cool thing about it is that it's a cool sci-fi wonderland in Africa.
Yeah.
And it's got real cultural aspects of Africa, but combined with technology and you know, sci-fi tropes and whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And it looks magical. And the color palette, oh my god, dude.
So vibrant.
It's vibrant as hell. I was like, it's staggering. It looks so cool. It just looks like nothing else I've seen from a movie trailer, and I was really, really impressed with it. I'm very much looking forward to Black Panther. It looks really cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. All the characters look interesting. The music is on point. That really stuck out to me in the trailer, and I think this is something that is going to be really different than what we're used to.
Yeah, good.
At least in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'm all for that.
And, I mean, based on the trailer, I like in the trailer as well, the only connection to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, really, that they showed was Andy Serkis playing Claw.
Yeah.
Because he was in Age of Ultron where he lost his arm, which, you know. But, you know, they didn't feel the need to, like, not for nothing, Spider-Man, they didn't feel the need to throw Tony Stark in there or something to kind of remind you. They're just letting Black Panther speak for himself, and man, it looked really cool. Just looked really cool.
Alrighty. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's get to the big news of the past week. And again, we're like the last ones to comment on this, but who cares? This past weekend was E3.
Past week, really?
Yeah, the past week. The annual video game show that companies come out and announce all their wares for the next year and sometimes beyond.
Yeah.
This year is the second year, I believe, that was open to the public.
I want to say yeah, but I read that this was the first year they sold tickets.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the way it is going forward now.
Yeah, and I think they kind of had to do that because not for nothing, I think E3 was really like trending down before they did that because like, you know, and we had discussed this before.
The need for it doesn't exist anymore.
Not really. Like Nintendo does Nintendo Direct. Yeah. PlayStation does PlayStation Experience. Nintendo Directs are like, 3-4 times a year,
right?
Give or take. PlayStation Experience is like 2 times a year. I don't know what Microsoft does.
Well, also consider that the trade show itself, the E3, was born in an era when the internet was not what it was. Retailers and distributors and media didn't have instant access to know what people were going to buy in their store, in their brick and mortar stores, you know, at all times. So these big conventions, they would go to these conventions, see what was hot. All the exhibitors would be there. All the companies would be there. They would reveal their plans, show off the new wares. The media would cover it, and distributors and store owners basically would see the product and, you know, base their orders on what they saw.
Yeah,
that era is over, man. Like,
yeah,
video games now are like, we know, everyone knows if it's going to be a hit or not before it comes out. The internet's democratized everything. We all have access to this stuff. Retailers know, like, you know, the mystery's gone.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
E3 as a concept is kind of outdated. Now it's just turned into a big trailer show. So Nintendo being the first one to kind of like step back and be like, we're not going to put millions of dollars into a big glorified trailer presentation where we have to get on stage and do stuff. We'll do our own little videos and put it out there, and that's it. Like, there's no need for this. Sony's kind of doing the same thing now. They're walking back.
I think one thing I definitely noticed more this year than previous years, and something I want us to avoid in this discussion, is the tribal mentality.
That's video games, man. It's never going away.
Yeah, but I know that.
It's ingrained.
I get that. But right here now, can you and I just agree that we both like video games and that, you know, we have our preferences, but we can agree on, you know, that the other's preference offers something that maybe the vice versa does not. Somewhat, we enjoy video games. We like playing them because just like, oh my God, the concept of who won.
Oh, that's never going. Yeah. It's never going away.
It's turned into like politics. It's just like, dude, you like video games. It's okay. You can like multiple systems.
Hey,
it's
man,
okay.
You're talking to a veteran of the console wars here, so I've been there.
That being said, let's crap on Microsoft.
Yeah, okay, sure. Let's get that out of the way.
I think that's something we could both get behind. Oh man. All right, Microsoft.
Well, we made our predictions last week on the show.
We made our predictions.
And and not for nothing, spoiler alert, we were pretty dead on.
We're
everything we thought would happen happened.
Yep. Microsoft continued their streak of the worst named console on the market.
Oh my God, what are they doing with this? It's the X.
Xbox One X. Just keep calling it Project Scorpio. That was a cool name.
Let me tell you what. If I'm in the meeting and I'm like, we're soliciting names. Give me your list of names. The guy who stands up and says, let's call it the Xbox One X. You're fired. Get out of this room. Get out of here. How many more X's can they put?
I don't know.
Oh, my God. And not to mention X sounds a lot like S. If I were on the phone, hey, do you have the Xbox One X or S in stock?
Yeah.
That's going to be tricky to hear. Because those are the two models they have now.
Yeah.
The S and the X.
Yep.
And you better get that right. You better make sure the K is in there.
Well, no, there's 3 models they have. The Xbox One S.
Okay. Yeah.
Standard Xbox One.
See, that's the thing. I think that's going to go bye. They're gonna,
well, yeah, it's going to eventually, but for right now. And then they have Xbox One X. So Microsoft unveiled, predictably, we all knew it was going to happen, their new
update?
I don't know. Like, technically it's a new system, but it's just...
Yeah, yes, but no. I mean,
don't get me wrong. Its technical specs are impressive.
They are. They absolutely are. And if they want to be the ones to usher in 4K gaming, as Alan alluded to earlier, dude, that's going to come at a cost, because I know what 4K video cards cost for PCs. You're talking about thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So
that's why
let's talk about that.
Stuck to being a console video gamer.
So I will say this then: the price of the Xbox One X for what it promises is probably, I'm air quoting, fair.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. Consoles as a concept, as a forget about what's in them. That's secondary.
Yeah.
The set-top box video game console to a mass market, I will tell you here and now, there is a price break that you can't go above. And it could be argued if it's $299, if it's $399, I don't know, but it's in there. It's in that little ballpark. Once you go to $400-something, $500, Guess what? Nope. Sorry.
Especially,
nope.
Not only that, I would be, if this was a brand spanking new generation, and I'm sure some people will argue that it is. I disagree. It's, generation 0.5.
Yes. No, I wouldn't argue with that at all.
If this was a brand new generation, for the hardware that's under the hood on that thing, a launch price of $500, I would be like, okay, I'm not going to line up to buy one, but I can understand the pricing. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, show me some games.
Well, they did.
Microsoft had a lot of games.
They showed off a lot of stuff.
To their credit, corrected the major problem they've had the past 2 years. They just said games.
Great.
Games.
That's great.
And they showed some interesting stuff, but not nearly enough to get me to want to plop down $500 for another system.
And let's just, as we said earlier, the ultimate, what it really comes down to is if they're trying to make it in 4K gaming a thing, and dude, the numbers are out. There's not that many people out there with 4K TVs yet.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're the minority of televisions sold. People, and if you look into like polls of like, this is all anecdotal.
Yeah.
But I've seen online polls. Do you plan to buy a 4K TV in the next year? Most people, no. Do you own one currently? Most people, no.
Because as 4K televisions are going down in price, really high quality HD televisions are also
even
going
lower
down in price. Yeah,
and not for nothing, dude. But the jump in quality, like you said,
it's noticeable. It's not
SD
nice and day.
It's not SD to HD.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Certainly isn't.
It's just not that snap difference that I can just see immediately and go, oh yes.
No, it's like if you have a trained eye like you or I have, you're going to notice a difference. But
is it enough difference to make you plunk down
not $500?
Right? Are you opening up your wallet for it?
Nope.
No, I'm not. I'm going to give Microsoft some credit though. They did trot out games. They stayed on a games focus, and I do appreciate that because they did need that pretty badly. Are any of the games interesting to me? No, not really. Yeah. But I'm not the best person to necessarily ask that question.
Yeah. At this point, like, especially you, like in this current console generation, you have two consoles.
I do, and I'm okay with that.
I will eventually have two consoles.
Sure.
There is just not a need. Like, it's hard to come out of third place and try to get back in the game.
They're in trouble.
You can argue Sony did it last generation, but only at the tail end of the generation. They didn't take over number one, but they
dug
clawed up
themselves out
to
a little
second place.
Yeah, they were getting spanked for a while.
Yeah. Microsoft's press conference, and again, the presentation is just like, Phil Spector, just stop talking. Stop.
Well, Microsoft probably the weakest showing. Let's get into Sony then, because I'm not gonna. I have a PlayStation 4. I enjoy it.
Yeah, as do I.
But I'll tell you, I wasn't too blown away with Sony either.
I was disappointed.
I don't know what they were. I'm pretty sure everything they showed this year they showed last year.
Yeah,
which means nothing they showed last year came out this year.
Pretty much. Sony always has. They always pull something out of the bag as a surprise either at the very beginning or at the very end of the show.
Yeah, it's a very Nintendo-like move.
Like 2 years ago, it was, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Which where's that? I don't know.
Remind me, I have an interesting question for you.
Okay. All right.
When we get done with this.
Yes.
But this year, it was just, like you said, everything that they announced last year we got a little bit more of it.
Yeah, little reminders.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's not to say that the stuff doesn't look good. I mean, you've got people who love God of War, and, I'm not necessarily
one of them, but
they're excited about that, and that's fine. We have another zombie survival game, which looks slightly different, but it's the same aesthetic.
Yeah.
It just, Sony didn't roll out anything that got me supercharged and super excited.
People had a lot of good things to say about that Spider-Man game.
Let's talk about the Spider-Man game.
Okay.
Drew, what's my favorite comic book character?
Spider-Man.
Thank you. Spider-Man game looks great.
Okay.
Graphics are freaking awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that it looks like Arkham Knight, but with Spider-Man.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
That's a good thing. The costume.
Yeah,
the costume.
I know. I hear you. Loud and clear, I hear you.
Oh, man, the costume is so terrible.
It really is.
Now, don't get me wrong.
It really is,
Spider-Man has gone through his fair share of temporary costumes, costume redesigns, things like that.
Yeah.
And there are costumes, aside from the classic costumes, that have worked, that have looked good. The black costume, the Iron Spider costume that he had for a season was a decent design. This thing with the giant white,
it really comes down to the white spider.
It's because it's so big.
Yeah.
Now
he's had a big black spider in the comics.
Yeah, Insomniac has released a statement saying that the costume serves a purpose in the game.
Yeah, you know what? Never.
You can do that same purpose with a better design.
That's a real Kojima-esque answer. There's a reason why Quiet's naked. Yeah, thanks, Hideo.
It wouldn't bother me as much if the spider was black.
Yeah,
it would still bother me. Don't get me wrong,
because it wouldn't be as jarringly weird looking.
Yeah,
the white spider is really Yeah, I feel you, man. It looks bad.
Now, things I do like about it, the action seems to be really good.
Yeah.
People are complaining, too many QuickTime events. I think they're just kind of showcasing them.
Well, we'll see.
I thought it was a pretty good number of QuickTime events mixed in with standard combat. What I really like about it is that they are making a Spider-Man game for the way Spider-Man comics are now. They're using Mr. Negative.
He's a fairly new villain.
Is a new villain, a really cool villain. I like him. We get some classic stuff in there with Wilson Fisk. Although, am I the only one who, when they saw Wilson Fisk, went, that's cool. It's not D'Onofrio.
I love that we have this benchmark now for the Kingpin.
It's not D'Onofrio. So yeah, I'm excited for that game. So that was the other stuff that I was excited about was done, like the one and we'll talk about this and when we discuss what our top 3 games are from E3.
Okay.
The one was premiered at the Microsoft show, and then the other one was premiered in EA's show. So, yeah, Sony was a disappointment. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't as
good as you wanted it to be.
Yeah. I was hoping for more. That's kind of what I took away from this entire E3. I was hoping for more.
Yeah, I feel you. I guess I was looking for where's the new Red Dead?
It's nowhere.
Nowhere
Mentioned nowhere at all.
Bethesda, they had they're doing like Doom in VR, and that's kind of cool, but for people who have VR, but I don't have VR, so I don't care.
Can we talk about VR for a second?
Yeah, I guess.
This year was supposed to be VR's coming out party.
Yeah, no.
This year was going to be the year that VR was going to establish itself as the new format to play video games.
No.
And it just didn't happen. VR was a non-factor.
It's a niche thing, dude. It's got a ways to go.
It's like I've said, for this format to be fully embraced, the technology is not there yet.
No.
Because for virtual reality, if you want a completely encompassing experience, it has to be more than just a headset. And regular people can afford those giant, units where you can run and use a gun and whatnot with the headset. When this is kind of the second VR craze that's happened. I think this one's going to die out in a year or so. And then like the next time it comes around, given where technology is probably going to be where it becomes more viable. But right now it's just, it just seems like companies are giving up on it already. Sony didn't drop the price of their VR set because they're probably thinking, you know what, this thing isn't going to work out. Let's just keep it at $400 and sell what we can. And
well, we'll see. I'm kind of with you. I'm a VR skeptic. I've been and I will remain a VR skeptic. So, yeah. That's all I really have. Where was Red Dead? Where was certain things? I don't know.
There's a lot of stuff that just was.
Where was Final Fantasy VII Remake? Man, you trumpeted. You held that card for years. You finally played it, and now we're in the dark again.
Square brought it in house.
Yeah,
so I guess
they must have been worried about what they were.
That's not a good sign. No. Yeah.
But let's get to something I did like about E3.
Let's get to Nintendo. Folks, if you are new to the show. Drew likes Nintendo.
I love Nintendo.
Drew likes Nintendo a lot.
Yes.
I don't like the term fanboy. I think it's derogatory, so we'll simply call Drew a Nintendo zealot.
I prefer Nintendo file, but
okay.
That's fine. Yes, I love Nintendo, and I was really looking forward to this press conference or whatever, the Nintendo Direct, E3 for Nintendo. I wanted to see what the Switch is hot. The Switch is out. The Switch is hot.
Yep.
How are they going to maintain that fire? Because you already launched it with a title that is probably one of the best reviewed games of all time. It has an over 100% attach rate to the console with Zelda.
Yeah.
How does that happen? How do you have a higher than 100% attach rate?
You have more games than you have systems, and people buy the game without buying the system. Get on that ball, Nintendo. Get those systems out there.
Man, it's crazy. Anyway, they're working on that, and that was reiterated at E3. But yeah, what are you going to do? What's next, right?
Yep.
And, wow, what's next? Turns out a lot's next. So, Nintendo kind of focused their entire, the featured Direct on the Switch, which is good.
Yeah, it's understandable.
So it started off innocently enough with a new Kirby game. Okay, cool. Kirby games are fun, but
new Kirby, new Yoshi.
New Yoshi. And that new Yoshi game at first was kind of like, yeah, okay. I watched the Treehouse presentation of it later. That game looks great, man.
Well, yeah, I mean,
super cool, super cute. Oh, the charm and the graphic approach on it is like, that's new. That's exciting. And I have a bigger point to make about Nintendo versus the other companies in a second. Okay,
yeah, so it rings true to this day. I've said it before on the show. Nintendo, for first-party games, make pound for pound the most pure fun games ever.
So, but it's trucking along. Okay, here comes Xenoblade Chronicles.
They opened with that. That's
Xenoblade?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Could be great. Looks, big bad action RPG for the exclusive to the Switch. Okay. The first game was beloved on the Wii.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. This looks great. But I got to be honest with you. All you wanted for so long now was just like, yeah, it's great. Metroid?
Hello,
dude.
It's cold and there are wolves hunting me.
And here's the thing. All right, so up here I am begging.
Yeah,
out in the wilderness. Metroid, help me. They confirmed Metroid Prime 4.
They threw you a little crumb.
It's a crumb, but it's something. It's confirmation. It's at least them.
A glass of muddy water to a man in the desert
damn right.
is still a glass of water to a man in the desert.
That's exactly right. Now, look. Did they show any gameplay footage or renders or anything? No. We got a logo.
Title card.
But you know what? Again, that's them acknowledging, hey, we hear you. Here it is.
Yeah.
We are telling you right now it is going to happen. All right. Good. And they buried the lead on that, by the way. And I know why they did it, because they focused the entire presentation on the Switch.
Yeah.
Immediately after their presentation ended and the Treehouse event began.
Yep.
And I turned off because, I figured, well, we're at work. Silly me. I'm at work. I got to go back to work. There's another Metroid game coming out on the 3DS.
Yep.
It's in September. It's done. It's out. It's coming out in months. Oh, my God, dude. Metroid Samus Returns for 3DS. It's a remake of Metroid 2, The Return of Samus from Game Boy. The Metroid formula has changed a lot since then.
Yeah.
That game didn't have a map. It didn't have the Metroidvania familiarity that we have now. That's become a staple of the series.
Yeah.
Metroidvania is a term for a genre now. So they've remade it with those sensibilities in mind, and it looks awesome. So us Metroid fans are going to be living large real soon, and I'm really, really beaming about that.
Yeah, listen. I mean, we got into it over chat. And it's like I said, I want to stay away from like the tribal mentality and whatnot. And there's the constant joke between you and I, whereas you hate DC and I hate Nintendo.
Yes, that's correct.
I think if you peel away the layers, neither one of those is actually true. Because I've owned all but one of Nintendo's home consoles.
Which one didn't you own?
I didn't own the original Wii.
Oh, okay. Well,
so I play video games to get away from physical activities, not to participate in them.
I'm rolling my eyes, but okay.
Hey, even Nintendo is moving away from motion control.
That's ARMS begs to differ, but anyway.
When that Metroid 4 title card came up, I was so happy for you because in the couple years we've known each other, and I'm being serious. Like, if there's one thing I know about you, aside from being a huge Nintendo fan, it's that you love Metroid.
It's my game, man.
And when that thing came up, I was so happy for you. I was so excited. And I saw like the messenger start to pop up. I was like, awesome. That is great. That is so awesome. I was really excited for you. So, question.
Yeah.
What will we see first?
Go on.
Metroid Prime 4 or Final Fantasy 7 Remake?
Do you want my honest answer?
Yeah.
Metroid Prime 4.
I'm thinking that's probably true. My guess is, I was joking saying 2020. My honest to God guess is holiday 2019.
For
Metroid Prime 4.
I hope you're right. I hope it's not going to be...
I hope I'm wrong and that you get it earlier.
Well, I'm going to be realistic about it because I don't know who's working on it. I don't know what the plan is.
All they showed was a title card.
But it's. I hope it's not the final game of the Switch's lifespan, like Zelda, like Breath of the Wild was for the Wii U. You know what I mean? Because it got delayed so many times that they just said, you know what, we got to focus it. We got to put it on Switch. It has to launch the Switch now. But that worked out.
Yeah.
So, but still, I'd rather have it for the Switch, when the Switch is hot.
It's rare when you have a final product that's worth a wait like that, like Breath of the Wild was. So, I mean, I feel
like Nintendo knows the importance of this game.
Yeah.
Because the fan base is that rabid. It's going to be coming off of a long gap, and I think they realize, the hype is there, and if we make something really great, which they always do, but if they really knock it out of the park, they got another system seller on their hands,
Yeah. So,
speaking of system sellers.
Well, hold on a second.
Okay.
Up until this point in Nintendo's presentation, which was not very long, it was just under a half an hour.
Yeah, they kept it tight.
I was looking for something that would get me to buy a Switch.
Okay.
I do want to get a Switch because, as we've discussed before on the show, I'm excited about what the Switch can be, not what it necessarily is right now. And for me, Zelda is not that, because I've never been a huge Zelda player, though I have played one of them.
Okay.
And Metroid is not... I don't have the fandom for Metroid that you have. So up until now, there was not something that would make me instantly go out and plop down $300 for a Switch, if I could find one.
GameStop's got bundles right now.
Yeah, I just want the system. I don't want to buy a bundle.
I don't
want you to force me into spending more money than I have to. GameStop,
eBay, get it back. Anyway.
Then they showed Mario Odyssey.
Yes, they did.
Holy crap,
dude! I feel like they already kind of showed Mario Odyssey last year, announced it, but man, they were sleeping on the hook because
they buried the lead last year.
This whole hat possession thing is. It's a thing. It took on a life of its own. The internet had a field day.
Are procreating.
Mario can be a dinosaur. Mario can be a tank. Mario can be a frog. Mario can be a taxi cab. Mario can possess a real human. What is happening?
Mario has become a demon.
Sure. Why not? Wow.
It looks freaking incredible.
Man.
It looks...
And by all accounts, you want to hear the real mind blower? For me anyway, when someone explained it to me this way, people that were playing it on site said this game is for Mario what Breath of the Wild was for Zelda.
That's awesome.
That is insane to me.
Not only did we get this incredible trailer that showed this game that looks absolutely fantastic, we got a street date for it.
October. I figured holidays, it'll be out before the holidays. Yeah. Man.
Well, you know why? Because they want to get them bundles together.
They better get them systems rolling, man, because if between Zelda and now Odyssey, Christmas is going to be hot.
Have we ever had a launch year for a Nintendo system where you got both a Zelda and a Mario game?
I would have to go back and check dates. I want to say no, but it's possible. And I'm wincing because I'm not positive, but it's possible that Twilight Princess and Galaxy came out in the same year, but then again, maybe
was that the launch year for the Wii?
Yes, because Twilight Princess launched the Wii, and Galaxy came after. But I might be wrong on that. I think Galaxy might have been a year or so later. I'd have to check. So my snap judgment says no, especially given that the Switch launched in the fall or the spring.
Yeah,
and Mario's coming out in the fall. So that's like a 6-month window, but we're getting Mario and a Zelda title right up front. But here's what's awesome about that though. That bodes really well for each game to get a sequel on the Switch as well.
Yes, it does. Yep.
I mean, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But that could happen, and that's exciting.
Okay, so we've gone through the big three. Let's wrap it up by talking about our top 3 games.
Top 3.
From the press conference and our 2 biggest disappointments.
Okay.
Let's start with the 2 biggest disappointments. My biggest disappointment, again, was Sony. And for reasons we discussed, Sony as a whole just ultimately disappointing. My second disappointment, and there's an asterisk to this, my second disappointment was Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Yeah.
Because of the visual presentation that was shown, and not only that, I downloaded the demo and played the demo, and the demo's doesn't look that much better. The roster, at least for me personally, is bland. There aren't a lot of surprises that I was hoping for, and so far, currently right now, I will not be picking this up because of what was announced at shortly before E3 and debuted at E3 that I'll talk about in a moment. But here's the asterisk. Everything that I've heard since E3 is that everyone who went into Capcom's booth and played it said visually the game is much better than what was available for download. So that tells me that the download build was completed earlier and that the E3 build was a more advanced version. Now, granted, this comes out in September, so there's not a lot of time to polish.
Not really.
But Capcom does have a history of showing games early on that are not fully done visually, and then the final product is much better looking visually. So I'm still hopeful, but right now, nothing for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is getting me really excited.
Okay.
So what are your 2 biggest disappointments?
I guess selfishly, no gameplay at all for Metroid Prime 4. As happy
Don't
as
get greedy.
I know. I gotta kind of quantify that a little bit. So maybe not. Let me put that back in my pocket. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, as it were. No. I'll tell you what my biggest disappointments are. What wasn't there? No Red Dead.
Yeah.
No Final Fantasy VII remake. Even though I'm skeptical of the whole concept of that anyway, I am curious. I would like to see more. Didn't show it, so how would I know? My biggest disappointment of E3, and is as a Nintendo guy. Hey, third parties, you wanna.
Yeah.
Feel free to jump on board anytime. We're this thing's printing money for us right now. Gamers really like it, and they want to play games on it. Games you could be making and selling to them.
Yeah.
Come on. Now we've talked about this.
You and I have gone back and forth.
Chicken or the egg, right? Like they're not going to invest if they don't think they can sell them. It's like, well, people don't want to.
The units aren't out there for the people to buy the games for. Being devil's advocate. Games are friggin' expensive to make. Plus, you have to employ a whole separate division to make the version for the Switch.
It supports all the same engines as everything else. I mean, come on, just put a team on it. I don't know.
No, I get it. I want Nintendo to get their third-party support.
It's viable.
Back.
Like, do it.
It's
you do it for no other reason than it makes your company look good to Nintendo fans who spend money. Sorry, but when you burn us, we're going to become skeptical.
Yeah, and I get that. I understand that. But again, devil's advocate, that doesn't translate on an earnings spreadsheet.
It does. It's money left on the table. That's what it is. It's money left on the table.
Yeah, but then you get into is the money we're leaving on the table more or less than the money we would spend to make it, like produce it, market it, get it out there for the limited number of systems that are out there.
There's going to be more of those systems out there, and soon.
Keyword going to be.
Then get on board now.
I agree with you.
Strike when the iron's hot. Timing is everything.
I'm presenting the other side of the conversation.
Lazy developers, lazy publishers.
Okay.
That's my biggest gripe.
All right. So now to my top 3 games.
Top 3 games.
Number 3, Mario.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Mario will get
top
me
3. All right.
Mario will get me to buy a Switch. Number 2, and I'm really excited I got to put this in my top 3, is a rare instance of a major video game company listening to the critiques of what they did previously and correcting all of them.
Okay.
Star Wars Battlefront 2. Holy crap, this game looks incredible. Now, I enjoyed the first Battlefront, but I will be the first one to say, for as much as I enjoyed it, all the gripes against it were legitimate. There was no first-player mode. The DLC was outrageously overpriced and too few and far between. But that aside, the original Star Wars Battlefront, to me, was still the definitive Star Wars experience on a video game. Battlefront 2, single-player story mode. All the DLC is free. With the exception of cosmetics. Cosmetic stuff you got to pay for.
Fair enough.
So, 2 biggest gripes corrected. The game is freaking gorgeous. I didn't think it could look better than it did in the last Battlefront, and it already looks better than the last Battlefront. And here's the biggest thing. What they showed is pre-alpha.
That's impressive.
It's going to get better.
That's pretty crazy because it looks pretty good.
At first, I was like, why are you showing... Like, you want to make a big splash with this game, and all the gameplay they're showing is from Theed. From Planet Naboo from episode 1.
I wanted. Yeah, and I watched that trailer and I got mad at you. You told me to watch that.
But then when you think about it, all the flaws of episode 1 aside, Theed is very beautiful to look at.
Oh yeah, no, it looks fine.
So it
just do without all the stupid robots.
I'm thinking one of 2 things. One, they did it because it's a visual showcase for the game, more than showing just like a desert or just snow.
Okay, yeah, sure.
2, the game comes out in November, so leading up, we're going to get a trailer highlighting each movie.
Okay.
So the next thing they show might be from Attack of the Clones.
Why?
Then Revenge of the Sith. Well, Geonosis.
Whatever.
That's a huge freaking battle. It was a lot of fun to play in Battlefront 2. But I am super stoked about Battlefront 2. You said you hadn't watched any of the stuff, but then I asked you for this episode to watch the trailer. What did you think of it?
I second everything you said. Visually, it looks really spectacular. I could do without Naboo and the robots and all that, but I can't deny, like it when you call it a definitive Star Wars experience, like that's pretty much it. It looks legit. It looks totally legit. Like this is Star Wars. Yeah, in every possible way. And I saw you play as Rey now and stuff. And
she's got some really cool force powers.
That's cool.
I saw they were showing some gameplay. 2 of Rey's force powers I think are really neat. She has a Jedi mind trick. And I guess for if you're in range, when she does a Jedi mind trick, your controls reverse.
That's funny. That's cool. I like that.
And then she has like force vision where she can see enemies through walls.
Oh, okay. I
was like, all right, that's really cool.
It's kind of neat.
I saw in one gameplay, Darth Maul threw his lightsaber at a Naboo fighter and took it out of the air.
That's pretty wild.
I was like,
wow.
Awesome.
Cool.
So yeah.
And your top game.
My top game. Holy crap. Folks, I love fighting games. I've talked about how I love fighting games. This game was announced shortly before E3, and having heard it, you're like, okay, that sounds interesting. And then they dropped the trailer. Holy crap. Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Yeah, I don't care about this game, but
you weren't a fan of Dragon Ball.
I'm really not.
You're not a huge fighting game fan, so that's
you're
fine.
amped though.
Oh my god, this thing looks insane.
You know what I will say?
And again, it's only 20% done.
That's crazy. I will say this, man. Compared to Marvel vs. Capcom, remember I told you the graphic style for Marvel vs. Capcom is taking a lot of heat. Rightfully so. It looks kind of and ugly, kind of like
Yeah. That's fair.
And it looks like very flat. It does nothing really pops.
Yeah.
I will give Dragon Ball Z this much credit. That game pops. It's colorful as hell. It's energetic and colorful and wild looking. Okay.
It's a 3 versus 3 team fighter. It has all the elements that Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and the previous Marvel games have had amplified. Arc Systems does incredible work with fighting games with their Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue series. And like when they first released a couple screenshots, we just thought they were cinematics. We didn't think it was in gameplay. Oh, it's in gameplay, sir. It's cinematic and in gameplay. So the game looks amazing. No solid release date announced as of yet, just early 2018. Just shut up and take my money.
Okay.
Just shut up. Because I watched Dragon Ball Z. I like Dragon Ball. I watched Dragon Ball Z when I had to go to like Suncoast Music and plop down $35 for a VHS tape with 3 episodes on it. You know what happens in 3 episodes of Dragon Ball Z, Drew?
Not a lot.
Nothing. Nothing happens in 3 episodes of Dragon Ball Z. Because when stuff does happen, it's really freaking cool.
All right.
So yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, those are my top 3.
All right.
What are your top?
My top 3.
It's only 20% done. It's going to look so much better.
All right, man. Deep breaths. My top 3. Number 3. We're gonna go. Ascending. Number 3. The new Wolfenstein.
Okay.
Because the New Order was really good. New Order was really good. Like better than I thought it would be. But no. So the New Order was great. This is the sequel. Okay. Sure. Let's go. Let's do this. I'm as a big Doom guy, I'm really loving this whole like little mini renaissance we're having from like shooter franchise, like the founding fathers of the whole genre coming back in a big bad way. Because not for nothing, but I think they're more fun than Call of Duty's kind of presentation, which is more like cinematic, and you don't have big arenas. You have kind of like tunneled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas, Wolfenstein and Doom, it's like running gun, big open areas and mazes and labyrinths and keys and health packs. Yes. Let's go. Number 2. Okay, 1 and 2 are going to be tough for me. This is hard. This is very difficult.
So where do you put Mario? Where do you put Metroid?
That is the question, is it not?
Where do you put a game that you're getting in October that you've seen gameplay for?
Well, there's hang on.
Against arguably your all-time favorite franchise on Nintendo that you saw absolutely nothing for.
No, sir. The title card is not in the discussion here.
Oh,
yeah.
The Game Boy one.
3DS, yeah. I'm going to put, I'll tell you what, Metroid will go number 2. Metroid Samus Returns for 3DS.
Yeah. If you're going to put that above Mario, I was going to have to
Metroid means a lot to me, dude. So,
I know it does, but
no, it looks really, 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 really cool. They're giving Samus lots of new power-ups. She has a blocking mechanic now, like a parry move where you can
saw that.
Enemies
that looks cool.
It looks pretty neat. And even though I'm a little concerned that Sakamoto-san is still in charge of Metroid, he is the co-creator, so I guess we have to give that to him. But he's also the one who kind of really butchered Samus's character in Other M, the last Metroid game that came out that everyone hated. He's still involved, but from interviews, it sounds like he learned his lesson, and fans kind of said, "See, Other M? No, we don't want this." And I think he...
Bad Sakamoto-san.
Yes.
Bad.
Yes. I think he... I don't know if he's ready to admit that he's wrong, but I think he heard those complaints and is moving. And So, yeah. Anyway, Samus Returns looks super dope, and it comes out in September, and I'm like,
yep,
give it to me now. Number 1 is Mario Odyssey. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my God, this game looks totally bonkers in the best way possible. And I cannot wait to play it. And if it's everything it's cracked up to be, like, wow.
Just saying, Mario in a poncho and sombrero wins all the things.
Right? And his America costume? And Princess Peach in her bridal gown with the piranha plant bouquet? Did you see that?
Does that mean they're going to get married?
I don't know. Bowser in a tuxedo.
Yep.
This is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Take my money. Take all my money. Just take it all.
I know you have the Amiibos pre-ordered.
Yeah.
The Metroid one. I learned something interesting about the actual Metroid one.
Squishy.
It's squishy.
Yeah.
Squishes.
I know.
So, yeah.
I really don't go out of my way to buy these Amiibos, but when I saw that Metroid new ones,
it's like Metroid stuff is so few and far between. You kind of grab.
Can I pause for a moment?
Sure.
Thank you for saying that. Right?
What?
Few and far between.
What?
Oh. Nothing. This is an aside, folks. We do this from time to time. Nothing grinds my gears more when people pull out far and few between.
No, it's few and far between.
I know this. You're right.
Okay.
But some people out there,
all right,
they want to, sound smart, but they don't. Anyway.
All right, folks. That closes a very lengthy case files.
Can you tell we like video games on this show, by the way?
Yeah, we do. We like, listen, the range of scope of stuff that we are passionate about, the Super Scope 6 range of stuff we are passionate about is far-reaching. And we don't shut away from any of it on the show. Yes, this is a Daredevil show, and we're about to get to the Hell's Kitchen Protector in a moment. But as you have learned, and will continue to learn throughout this episode, if this is your first time joining us, we like all things from X-Wings on the big screen. It's little plastic X-Wings we fly around and shoot at our people, to X-Wings that we control in a video game controller, to just all the stuffs.
All the stuffs.
So, that being said, Drew,
it's time for some Daredevil.
It is time for some Daredevil. Let us rustle our papers of notes that we take when we watch an episode of the Daredevil Netflix show, break it down, share our opinions. This week is not a lot going really. It's a setup episode.
Title episode this week?
38 Caliber.
38 Caliber. This was a very move things forward kind of episode.
I've noticed that Marvel does this with their series episode here 10 or 11. This is like the setup, and then everything from here on out is just going to be kind of like the end run.
Okay. So this is like the you're on the roller coaster. This is the last incline before the final drop in
exactly.
loop-de-loop. Okay.
You can look down and you see where the ride's about to go, and you're just about to go over.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of action in this episode, which is maybe why there's not a whole lot to say about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We get Matt fighting the ninjas. Ninja fight.
I love a good ninja fight.
So we get Matt fighting ninjas. We get Frank fighting bad guys. We've got Matt fighting bad guys as well.
We got Matt fighting Frank.
We got does Elektra fight anybody? Well, not directly, but she shows up. She shows up though.
She stabbies.
Lots of action in this episode.
Yep.
So yeah, we open up with where we left off with the ninjas invading the hospital to reclaim the people that Matt saved from the farm or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Right. Question.
Yes.
These ninjas.
Yep.
They're already invading a hospital.
Yep.
They're killing people. They kill that one nurse
like a ninja does.
Do they really care about cutting open the window to reach in to unlock it? Just kick it in.
Ninja implies stealth.
Okay.
At a point in the mission, there is a point where you kind of have to put stealth aside.
Okay.
But up until that point,
they were all right. The alarm was already going off.
Ninjas operate in shadow.
I hear you. I know. I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah. So
all this elaborate infiltration, and they're just like, we can't let anyone know. It's like, you're climbing up outside the window. Like, I can look out the window and see you.
You know what it probably is? You know what it probably was with that ninja specifically? It was the Boondock Saint syndrome. When are you going to need the rope? He's like, when am I going to get a chance to cut open a circle in a window again and open it up?
That's totally fair.
Yeah.
That's a totally fair point.
So when the ninjas invade the hospital, we have what you can argue is probably the most comic booky scene in the season. Is when Claire gets thrown out of a window and Matt dives out.
Yeah.
Because I was watching the scene, I'm like, you know what? As a Daredevil fan, as a guy who loves comic books, that scene's friggin' awesome.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who understands realism and science, no.
Yeah.
There's no way he catches up to her.
No, it doesn't. Science doesn't. Gravity does not work that way.
No.
But
it's still friggin' awesome.
It looked awesome.
Yeah.
Come on. I gotta say, when Matt's fighting these ninjas and stuff, the action just looks so great.
It really does.
And the costume looks great when it just scenes like that, man, really make me feel like this is the show.
Yeah.
This is the show.
This
is the comic book show.
Even when superhero films were ramping up.
Yeah.
Like mid 2000s forward.
Okay.
There are certain things you thought, okay, we'll get, and that'll be cool. And there are certain things like you're never going to get. You never thought you would get Daredevil fighting hand ninjas.
No. Oh, God, no. Not a chance.
Now we have just oodles of it.
Oh, my God. And it's cool.
It's awesome.
This is happening.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as a Daredevil fan, man, visuals like that are just like, oh, what a time to be alive.
Yeah.
Moon pie. What a time to be alive. So Karen's
at the police station with Mahoney.
Yeah, because in the last episode,
not Carrie Mahoney, Brett Mahoney.
Not Carrie Mahoney. Oh man, can we get Gutenberg at one of these Marvel shows? We probably could. Who would he be?
You know what?
Who would you cast Steve Gutenberg as?
You know what?
Go on.
You know what?
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Don't put him in Marvel stuff.
No?
Put him in DC stuff.
Oh.
As Snapper Carr.
Okay. Sure.
I win all the things.
All right. Make this happen.
Yep. All right, so Karen's in the police station with Mahoney.
He's like, just pictured him there. Anyway, yeah, because Frank saved her after her place got shot up by imposter Frank. Now,
I think this is kind of the episode that brings Karen to her limit.
It does.
You can see she's kind of, I don't want to say break, but she's kind of ready to just like throw her hands up and walk away from everything in this episode.
Maybe.
Because we have the encounter with her and Matt when she leaves the police station.
Yeah.
Like, she's not there for Foggy when he gets discharged from the hospital.
No.
She's,
well,
she's lying to the police. She's going around with Frank.
True.
And I think that in the scene in the diner, she finally understands
how
the
in over her
real
head she
Frank
is.
Castle.
Yeah.
No, she gets to witness and understand the truth of Frank Castle.
Yeah, basically.
And that kind of rocks her to her core, I think, because not only she witnessed this horrific act,
yeah,
but she's also going to question her convictions that she's talked about with Matt in earlier episodes, like kind of believing in what the Punisher does. Now that she sees it,
different story.
Yeah.
That's interesting you bring that up then, because if she's having second thoughts after witnessing it firsthand, what's Matt's excuse later in this episode?
Yeah, we get to a point where Matt is willing to compromise.
He's not about to go killing people, but he says
just
to
this
Frank,
once,
you might be right.
Yeah, and even Frank doesn't want him to compromise.
Right.
Frank is fully self-aware of who he is, but also fully self-aware of a moral code that others should adhere to if possible.
Apparently, yes.
So, and compromise is the first step on the road to destruction.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, in any situation, when you have a principle or a moral that you adhere to and you compromise that, that's the first
Slippery
step to your own ruin.
Well, he does make the sign of the cross before he says that to Frank, by the way, because he knows
that Catholic guilt.
That Catholic guilt. He knows he's saying the wrong thing. That's kind of I don't know. I that was kind of shocking to me that Matt would say that. Yeah,
and I don't think that it's the breaking point that we kind of find Karen at the end of this episode. I think that he feels like he's running out of options at this point.
I mean, his life is kind of crumbling around him right now.
Yeah,
with Elektra being on the that whole situation blows up. Karen dumping him essentially. Yeah. Foggy dumping him as well. Lucas barking at me. I don't know why. So yeah, I mean, he's kind of throwing his hands up, and he doesn't really know what to do. But we don't get a lot of Foggy action in this episode.
No, we don't. Marcy shows up to pay a visit.
We get some Marcy time, which is always welcome. But not a lot of Foggy action. He basically his episode consists of getting discharged from the hospital and talking to Claire. That's really it.
Claire, this is a pivotal episode for Claire.
This is kind of
because this is when she kind of, and it's not by her own choice necessarily, but this is where she steps out of her old life into the life we see her leading in Luke Cage.
Yeah, this is when night nurse is kind of really born. She, after watching someone get killed in the hospital, and then the hospital, I like how they have the typical, bean counter evil corporate guy,
corporate shill,
whatever, and he's like, we're covering this up, and the board, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
she quits her job.
She does. She walks out. She's like, no, I'm not going to stand by for this.
Yep.
And so I like for the character that it's a decision that she makes for herself.
Yeah, no, Claire's
not.
She has
it's not like something that she got fired and now she blames Matt.
No,
which you couldn't necessarily fault her for if that happened, but it shows. I think it's a good choice in the story that shows the strength of the character.
She, as she says in the episode, she took an oath to save lives, and she's going to do it. And if the hospital wants to be bureaucratic and crappy about it, then see ya, Yeah.
And this is really, we've kind of tiptoed around it in previous episodes, the mystical aspect of the hand.
Yeah.
This is the episode that just kind of shoves it right in our face.
Yeah.
Now, in the comics, the ninjas of the hand, correct me if I'm wrong, are vanquished opponents of the hand that have been resurrected, brainwashed to serve the hand.
Yes, essentially.
Yes.
And when you cut them open and slice and dice them, they're like
turn into powder.
Green powder smoke. Yeah. Not so much in the show.
Yeah.
But I guess there was only so much we could suspend our disbelief.
Yeah. But and I'm fine with that.
That's fine. It's fine. But when they the doctors are going to do an autopsy on one of them, they find that One's already been done.
He's been on this roller coaster before.
He's got the scars, man.
And the penny pushing bureaucrat who has no medical training at all is just like, no, that's not autopsy. No.
Yeah.
Cover him up.
So there's a whole cover up thing happening in the hospital, and Claire's like, I'm out, and see ya, basically. Night nurse is kind of born here.
Yeah, and the only thing that kind of bothered me about this scene is not so much the reluctance to believe that he had an autopsy before, but the fervent, like, just absolute, there's no possible chance that could be the explanation. You people live in the world where the sky opened up, aliens poured out. You have a Norse god walking among you.
Yeah.
A man who turns into a giant rampaging monster.
Yeah.
A man who has advanced technology that created a battle suit. And another man who's been alive since 1928. And is still in his 30s.
Look, I hear you, man, but got to keep in mind that this show kind of tiptoes around that.
I get that, but I think...
I understand
this is one of the times where they can kind of show the changing reality of that world that they kind of missed out on.
Yeah, I feel like that's the kind of thing like S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., even though I don't really watch it, it would have embraced.
Gotta watch it. It's good.
Yeah.
I know you're not gonna, but it's good.
Time's a factor, Lois. Yeah. So Matt hits the streets.
Yep, he braces the ADA, the assistant district attorney, who's hightailing it as quickly as he can out of town.
Yeah, he knows he's a target. He's out of town. But Matt gets to him first. He steers him to Midtown. Well, no, Chinatown. Correction, Chinatown. Yeah. And we have a nice little heart-to-heart with Madame Gao.
Yes, I love the character of Madame Gao. Even in Iron Fist.
She's calm and cool and in control.
Cool character.
Yeah.
The best villains always are.
Yeah. And it turns out that her and Matt have a common enemy in this instance, and that being this guy, the blacksmith, the guy who's responsible for Frank's family's death.
Yeah.
And he's pushing heroin and super pure, of course it would be. And she tells Matt where to find him.
That's the thing that kind of bothered me about this episode is how quickly Matt switches from focusing on the hand to fully focusing on the blacksmith.
Okay.
Because leading up to this episode, it was all about the hand. He understands this war is coming, that he's going to have to fight evidently alone.
Yeah.
Because we see Elektra is unwilling to change in her ways.
Sure.
But in this episode, it just seems he switches instantly.
Well, yeah, especially since we open with a hand attacking the hospital. You think he might be full tilt like, gee, I guess I better go find Stick and maybe tell him he was kind of right. Or maybe ask him some questions. But Matt's stupid and stubborn, so I could see him maybe blocking that out. And I can see the pivot, especially when you get into Karen. Because Matt's got the soft spot for Karen. So when she tells him what's going on with Frank, it's not totally out of character for him to do what he did and go after the blacksmith.
Yeah. Let's see. Just looking at my notes here.
Can we talk about Frank, being all calm and cool in the diner?
Frank's love line. Love advice from Frank. You know what? For as much as Frank understands pain and suffering and loss, he also understands love.
He does. Yeah.
Because you know what? The way he describes it, and I've said before how, thank God I can't apply this to my wife. I've buried my father and I've buried one of my best friends. I shudder to think what I would sacrifice to be able to experience again the worst day I ever had with my father. The most knockdown, drag-out argument we ever had. We didn't have a lot of them, but we did have a couple of them. I would give anything to be able to experience that again. Just to be able to see his face and hear his voice again. And that's what Frank's describing here.
Sure.
And it just sums up so perfectly that husband-wife relationship.
And he lays all that on Karen.
Yeah.
The only thing I think was a little odd about it is that the way he gets there is by asking if Karen and Matt are
Yeah.
I feel like Frank wouldn't care. But
yeah, no, that's a valid point. But I think
because he does that big monologue about wanting that one last chance. But it's like, I think someone in the writing team wanted to tell that story, but didn't really know how they would get a chance to get there. So they had Frank like comment on Karen's relationship with Matt, where in reality, I think like Frank doesn't.
I think though at the same time, whether it's in the comics or in this show, Frank doesn't want anyone to feel like he feels.
No,
and if there's an opportunity to do some good without pulling a trigger, he's not going to do it all the time. But I think that there will be those rare instances where he takes advantage of it and gives Karen some insight that she might not have had previously. Whereas I agree with you, and I don't think that like ultimately off the cuff he would necessarily do it, but I don't think it's completely out of the realm of his character.
Okay. But the thing is, like, I'm going to give you this advice. And I want you to trust me and believe me. Now, if you don't mind, I've used you as bait for these guys.
Well, yeah, because he's still Frank.
Yeah,
he's still Frank.
So everything I just told you, I really want you to consider.
Take it to heart.
Take it to heart.
Go to the back.
Now go hide, because I'm going to kill some people. Is that? Yeah. Are we cool? Okay, cool.
The man is not of sound mind. We've established this, sir.
Yeah. So he has her go hide in the kitchen, and these dudes come in, and oh boy, if Frank does not dispatch with them with brutal efficiency.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty savage.
Yeah. And as we mentioned earlier, Karen gets to witness the truth.
Yes.
That is Frank Castle. So just to kind of fast track it, because we're running kind of long here.
It happens.
From
time to time.
We got the event on the boat.
Frank kills mad people on the boat.
Frank shoots, bang, bang.
He's going to blow it up.
Thinks he finds about blacksmith, doesn't matter. Fears. Well, then the real
he
cliffhanger.
He thinks it's the blacksmith.
Yeah.
Matt knows it's not.
Well, I think eventually he kind of figures out that it's not the blacksmith.
Yeah. He wants it to be, but it's not.
The real cliffhanger of this episode is Elektra. She'd like to have a word or two with Stick.
She sure would, to the point where she killed his two lackeys as Stick sent them to go find Matt.
Yes.
Is that what they were going to do? They were going to find Matt? Or
no, I don't think they were necessarily going to find Matt because he gave them that artifact.
I was going to ask about that. Okay. And then she ends up stabbing them in the car.
He threw them the idol. They threw him the whip.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So they end up going to Matt, one guy barely alive in time to tell Matt that she's going to kill Stick. And Stick's waiting.
Yep.
Blade in hand.
Yep.
And Elektra shows up.
I appreciate how they show the ceremony of the sharpening of the blade, because the way you've depicted Stick up to this point, you don't think that that's necessarily something that he would put the, for lack of a better phrase, heart into that he does. But the respect shown in the sharpening ceremony, I really like that they show that. But yeah, then Elektra shows up and she'd like to have a couple words, and he's all ears.
Well, that's where we leave off, man.
Yep.
So that's your recap on Daredevil Season 2, Episode 11.
Episode 11, coming to the end of the season.
Even though this is about normally where we end the show.
This is.
I got some bonus content for you, and we're going to end with that.
Yeah, I'm going to let you kind of take over here and explain how this came about.
Yeah, man. So basically, the fine folks over at Coulter Bay here in Buffalo, New York, Mr. Mike Schatzel, the owner, they set up an appearance by Mr. Greg Cook, the co-founder of Stone Brewing. It was a total Stone tap takeover where all the taps were very special Stone brews that they brought in for the day. Limited release stuff, aged stuff, rare stuff you don't normally see, and it was just a fantastic selection. And I want to thank Mike Schatzel and Coulter Bay for putting on the event. And I also want to thank them for their courtesy in helping me make this interview happen. So basically, man, the night was good. Drinks were flowing. I had dinner. My wife was there. My sister was there. We had a great time. My brewing partner, Colin, was there. And Greg Cook was kind enough to give me 30 minutes of his time outside, just me and him, for us to discuss the craft beer industry, if you will, where it's been, where it's going, the growing pains, the hurdles it faces, and the inspiration behind Stone Brew and really craft brewing in general. It is an art, folks, and I hope one thing that comes across on this show is that we're passionate about the arts and creative endeavors, be it comic books, be it movies, be it video games, and I really do feel that brewing and beer, and cooking, even cooking, it's an art form, and it's a passion. And I think that comes across. I would just remind everyone that Greg and I were several beers in by this point in the evening, but I think we put together a pretty good conversation. So we're going to talk with Greg Cook. So I hope you all enjoy.
Real quick question, because we do strive to produce a family-friendly show. Is the segment family-friendly?
Thank you for bringing that up. No. I'm not saying it's like our Kevin Smith segment, but I think there may be some salty language. So if you are, underage,
you got kids
if
in
you
the
have
room,
kids in the room,
yeah,
this might not be the conversation for them. But yeah, man, just be warned. And it's not, like I said, it's not that bad. But I would throw some caution out there. So, but yeah, it was great, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
All right, here it is.
All right, folks, I am here with the one, the only, Greg Cook of Stone Brewing, my personal favorite brewery. Greg, thank you so much for doing this with me. I really appreciate it. Welcome to Buffalo, and welcome to the Devil's Due.
I can honestly say it is a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be sharing beers with everybody tonight.
Salute, sir. Thank you. All right, so for our listeners who may not be familiar...
What?
I know. I'm a huge Stone Brewing advocate and fan, an acolyte, indoctrinated, if you will. Could you maybe give our listeners who may not know a quick background on who is Stone Brewing? Who is Stone Brewing?
Well, the who is a we, and the we is, we started 21 years ago in San Diego as a craft brewery. And we've been, we're part of the movement towards bigger character, stronger, hoppier beers. You want to move a table over?
We'll move. Let's do that. Yeah. You can pick up right where we left off. No worries.
Hey, go figure that people are hanging out, having a good time, and drinking beer and being a little bit noisy.
Nope, an event like this, that's totally cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So... beer geeks, I always describe myself as beer geek gone pro. And
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's how I got into it.
And today, as of today, Stone, is it, not to get into too deep into numbers, one of the top 10 craft brewers in the United States?
Yeah, we're one of the top. Yeah, we're like the 10th or 9th largest craft brewer in the United States. But that's all fine. It's sort of a little bit of a recognition of what we've been able to accomplish over the years. But the fact of the matter is, I'm most proud of the team we work with and the beers that we're making, and the fact that we get to do really awesome events like this where we have 30 beers on tap and people come out and say, "Dude, your beers mean something to me," and that is. I gotta tell you, one of the most awesome things in the world.
If I could maybe elaborate a little bit, would it be fair to say that even though you might say you're, 9th, 10th, whatever, it doesn't really matter, would, to me, as a fan, the shadow of Stone maybe is a little bigger than that? Is that maybe fair to say? At least it seems that way to me.
Perhaps so, but you make it sound a little ominous.
No, I mean that in the best way.
Wait, let me laugh different. Yeah, I think we have a big reputation, but it's been earned by really keeping our heads down and focusing on making sort of the beers that we like. We help forward the hoppy beer revolution. We help forward the West Coast style IPA. Stone Ruination Double IPA was the first full-time brewed and bottled West Coast style double IPA on the planet. We help create these styles, and so people know us and appreciate that. And now the West Coast style IPA is arguably the most popular style amongst craft brewers around the world. So what does that mean? It means that pretty much anywhere in the world I can walk into a brewery and they'll sort of open the doors and open their taps for me. That's kind of awesome.
Absolutely. And I'm a big fan of the West Coast style and the big IPAs and also the big stouts, which Stone seems to have maybe the twofold mind. Big IPA, big stouts. Other styles maybe not so much, but you know what? That's totally cool because Stone has a reputation, and you guys seem to stick to who you are, and you stay true to who you are, and you don't try to be who you're not.
Well, that's actually very true. But we believe in art, and we believe in brewing, and we believe in the combination of the two, and that it means a wide representation. Hey, one of my favorite beers to drink of ours these days is our Berliner Weisse that we brew in Berlin. And it's a classic style that had been pretty much forgotten in Germany, revived in the United States, and is now coming back to the continent. And it's 4.7%.
That seems low for a Stone brew.
Well, it is, and I realize that we have a reputation, and probably it's a reputation that's been earned. Yeah, and I get that. As you're drinking the Stone 12th Anniversary Bitter Chocolate Oatmeal Stout.
This, by the way, this beer is fantastic, and one of my own stout recipes was inspired directly by this beer, and it's probably the best beer I've ever brewed.
Wow, that's hugely flattering. And how come you didn't bring any for me?
Had I known, I would have, and I would. But I'm a super shy and humble guy, and I would feel really awkward giving you hey man, would you try my beer? So just know that this beer has inspired me directly.
If it was as good as you described, there's no need for awkwardness at all. But thanks for that. That's huge that you said that. I realize that we have a reputation for big, bold, hoppy, strong, IPAs, double IPAs, triple IPAs, as well as even session IPAs and imperial stouts. And I will admit that that's earned, but we also have brewed, quite a range over the years that I'm enormously proud of. And the only thing we don't do, if you're going to make a music analogy, is we don't do silly pop songs, right? And we don't do sappy ballads. We might have some slower songs that got something going on in them, but every rose has its thorn, or crappy crap like that.
So you can back off the tempo, but still keep the weight, if you will.
Exactly. Fair enough. Can you tell I've been having a few beers? I just said crappy crap. That was articulate on my point.
I didn't want to point it out, but you know what? This event's been awesome, so I'm not going to call you on anything, man. So, seeing as we're talking about art, this is a podcast basically of arts and of passions. We're mainly pop cultural focused. We love comic books. We love video games. We love movies. We love TV. So, but mainly, we're really passionate about creativity. And to me personally, Stone embodies creativity in a lot of ways. And I think you've kind of spoke to that already. I know I've read an interview with you previously where you may have mentioned that Metallica influenced you in some way in brewing and as an ethos at Stone. I'm a Metallica super fan, so I feel obligated to ask you, to what degree are you a Metallica fan, and to what degree does their kind of to what degree does their ethos echo yours and Stone's?
So Metallica is a really great example that you should never, ever try to please everybody. So here's the basics. Brewing is an art.
Yes.
Art is best when it has a point of view. Art, when it has a point of view, means that not everybody will like it. Art that not everybody likes is the only chance that it's going to possibly be something great. So you take this a little bit further, or not even further at all, but you just sort of recognize this. And it makes me recall my favorite magazine cover quote ever, which is when Metallica came out with a Black Album, 91. There was a music magazine, Bam Magazine, put them on the cover. Hetfield was on the cover with a simple caption: Metallica didn't go to number one. Number one came to them.
I remember.
And that spoke huge to me. Yes, I was a Metallica fan. But beyond just that, I don't know if it was an ethos of Metallica sort of consciously adopted that and they knew that they weren't for everybody. That wasn't a big leap of imagination for Metallica to go, yeah, most people don't like us. You know what? That's okay. And the fact that they and other great artists from all spectrums just recognize, hey, and you know what? We all do art every day. I swear you can work in a bank and you can do art. You can bring art into your personal, daily, otherwise mundane life, and you can bring special things and touches and character and stuff that not everybody will relate to, but some people were like, wow, that interaction I had with that person, that was fucking awesome, right? So I might be going a little bit of a stretch here for some people, but the bottom line is the world is full of art, and it doesn't all have to be sort of the fine art that you would see in the gallery, right? Or the art that you would see in a major concert venue. So, a lot of people will look at Metallica or maybe what we do in brewing or, the comics and say, oh, I could never do that. Yeah, horseshit. You can bring art, you can bring style and character to the world. You can bring your own color, and don't cop out by saying, yeah, that's for other people. I'm just a regular dude or gal or whatever. I'm going to use the word for the second time, horseshit. You can bring something. And so that's what you do clearly, Drew, is you bring your personality, your character, your what you believe in, what you're attracted to in the world of art, and you say, these are the things that are important to me. I want to share this with other people. That's a form of art, right? And that's awesome. So I want to clink my glass with you over that.
Salute, man. It's funny because everything you just said, we had Kevin Smith on the podcast, director, right?
Really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we were at his spoken word show 2 weeks ago here in Buffalo, and we know his format. And my partner Carl, who is not here tonight, but we were very adamant that we were gonna find a way to get Kevin on the show. And luckily enough, we asked the first question of the evening at the Q&A, and he agreed to let us ask the last question at the night, and which we did, and he let us record it. And his whole spiel was, every one of us has something to offer. Every one of us is an artist and has a story to tell, and put it out there. Put it out there.
Yeah.
And it's the best thing you could ever do. And the worst thing that could ever happen is that, maybe no one acknowledges it, but maybe they do. And if they do, well, congratulations, man. You've told your story, and people will find you and agree with you, and that's gratifying, and it means something. So as a fan of Stone, I will say that your beard has found me, and oh my God, am I ever grateful. So thank you for that. And if you don't mind, I have a few more, maybe more specific questions.
Dive in.
All right. So Stone has grown a lot, and you guys were, I'm not going to say you were one of the first craft breweries in the United States, but in the late 90s, maybe one of the pioneers of that time. Because I might go back to the 80s and Sierra Nevada and whatnot. So,
sure.
But things have changed a lot in the last 10 years versus the last 20, right? So, how do you think Stone has kind of changed in the last, from where you started to where it is maybe now? Because I know now Stone's international, and that's huge for an American craft brewery. But maybe that's a microcosm of like you might be the only ones who are international. So like I guess in terms of big picture, where you were versus where you are, can you maybe speak to that a little bit?
Well, there's a lot to unwrap there.
At a high level, I mean, as high as maybe you can go, because our listeners may not understand the nuance. But as an American craft brewery, to me, it's a huge deal that you've not only expanded eastward from your home base in San Diego, where I've been, and by the way, folks, it is and I've said this before, the most beautiful facilities of any brewery I've ever been to anywhere ever, bar none. Not to blow your own horn or anything, but now you're international. Like that to me, that feels huge.
So here's the thing: the United States for so long was the laughingstock of the world when it came to beer. And this was something that even still today you'll find Americans that have this attitude that, oh, we don't know anything, we make crappy beer in the United States, which is now decades old and decades out of date, and it just means you're sort of not awake to your own surroundings if you would even think of something like that. But, 1979 we had just 42 breweries in the United States. Today we have over 5,000, right? So there's been a renaissance beyond anybody's dream. And simultaneously, a lot of Europe has been a bit asleep at the wheel, and there's been a consolidation and industrialization of beer. And you can find, thankfully, countless examples that would counter that and show there's great artistry and there's great stuff going on, but they're largely ignored in Europe. So we've gone over to Europe, Berlin, Germany specifically, to open up our brewery. And we've been able to do it in a historic 1901 gasworks building and create a destination restaurant and brewery. And just help be another voice for high public. There's something beyond cheap industrial beer, which, by the way, fact, ladies and gentlemen, I know a lot of people have difficulty believing this. Germans, Europeans, just like Asians, Mexicans, Canadians, Americans, etc., primarily drink shitty industrial beer. Okay, it's just a fact. Worldwide,
sure,
people mostly drink crappy industrial beer, cheap, crappy industrial beer, and so Germany did not escape that. Yes, you can find wonderful small breweries dotted around the country. And here's the thing, Germans are fiercely loyal to their local breweries. It's really amazing how fiercely loyal they are until they get to the grocery store, in which case they just buy the cheapest stuff. Just like Americans.
Yeah.
So there's a renaissance now happening in Europe, and craft beer is growing, and it's kind of a phenomenal thing, and we're glad to just be a small part of that. To say, hey, there's something beyond the very narrow framework of what you grew up when you were being told, which, by the way, maybe isn't the best representation of beer because it's cheap and industrialized. Maybe there's something else out there. It doesn't have to be ours. Oh hell no. Just explore.
Sure. I mean, you have BrewDog, I think, is like the biggest name I can think of in terms of Europe.
Yes.
They're one of the bigger names that are advocating and doing craft beer at a high quality level. But in terms of being the first American brewery to cross over, how has that reception been?
So I'll tell you a story about last summer when we were just opening our gardens in a restaurant, and I was standing at the threshold of between the inside and the outside, and I saw a German guy, probably about 75, walking towards me, beelining towards me. So I just paused for a moment as I let him come up to me, and he walks up to me and says, "I understand you are the owner here." And I was like, wow. Yes, hi, my name's Greg. What can I do for you? He says, I have something I want to tell you. Okay. Yeah, please, tell me. And, of course, internally, I'm going, oh, shit. He says, your beer tastes like I used to remember. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
And he clapped me on the shoulder. And this was the highlight of my year last year.
That's awesome.
It was incredible because I was quite certain that he was upset with me. And it was just, his style. He was, like I said, probably about 75. And, yeah. And I found out he was drinking Stone IPA. And I knew that he wasn't saying literally that the beer he used to drink tasted like Stone IPA because that wouldn't have been possible. But he was saying, essentially, the beer he used to drink in Germany was hoppier, was more flavorful, just more aromatic, had more going on.
Yeah.
And over the last several decades, and you can look at brewing statistics because they have a lot of industry statistics, it's been, frankly, cheapened and dumbed down. Overall, and everybody can find an exception, and I acknowledge that exception. There's exceptions all over, but by and large, it's become an industrialized beer nation, like every other nation in the world.
Right. So, having said that, at a high level, let's not get too deep into it, but our listeners might find it informational, and I think it's important to note the industrialization, the watering down, if you will. So, the enemy, for lack of a better word. Okay.
Well, so
hang on. All right.
Go ahead.
Okay. What craft beer is up against? Maybe a better way to put it.
The forces of evil. And if you want to call it the enemy, that's fine. Hey.
Okay. Because I will and I do. So.
But it's the fact of the matter. Just like fast food and industrialized food, commoditized food is the enemy of the people because it traps us. It makes us believe that we should have cheap food that is non-nutritional, that will make you die early, that will, this is a long story. It's long and complex.
Yes. I admire the hell out of you, and I'm going to tell you, and, I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything. You're a huge inspiration to me personally in terms of what you stand for, what Stone stands for, and what you have publicly said about resisting that, and how Stone will never sell out to big beer, InBev, AB, what have you, which is only furthering their efforts in buying. Oh my God! They're not only buying craft breweries; they bought out Northern Brewer, where I would buy my brewing supplies from as a home brewer. I don't buy from them any longer. And now they're buying acreage in South Africa. They're trademarking hop fields or whatever they're doing.
Yeah, and they're preventing small brewers from having access to those hops.
Right. And on top of that, now they bought a share in Rate Beer, and a service or a website that I use to, check where things stood. And I really respect Sam Caglione from Dogfish for pulling his rankings or asking that his rankings be pulled from Rate Beer. I'm not asking you to do the same thing, but no matter what, me personally,
asking wouldn't make any difference because it's a public domain. They have the rights to review.
Right.
It's like a restaurant asking to be removed from Yelp. It's not going to happen.
Right. So at a high level, forget the high level. I just want to tell you, part of the reason I've loved Stone for the last 15 plus years is I really respect and admire and believe in not just the great product you make, but what Stone has stood for, the attitude and the ethos, and you personally, having heard you speak, your ethos, that kind of came to a head with the True Craft initiative that you put forth. If you could maybe at a high level explain what that is, and if you could, now that we're a couple years removed,
and it's going to be hard in
high level what it is, and then if you could follow up, how's it going? Because I'm very curious.
Well, so the crux of it is that at Stone, and me personally, we believe in the ethos of true independent craft. That's a big thing, because commoditized, industrialized, homogenized is a different kind of business model. It's a business model that these other big companies have no choice but which to follow, right? They're public companies. They have a fiduciary duty to, quote-unquote, maximize shareholder value. If the leadership of one of those companies does anything that looks like it might be sort of, for altruistic reasons, rather than maximizing the bottom line, they risk losing their job, not making their bonus, or potentially even going to jail because you have a legal requirement to maximize shareholder value. So it's a different kind of business model than an individual private ownership, entrepreneurial kind of company has the options. We at Stone, we have the options to make decisions that aren't focused on the bottom line. But can be focused qualitatively, can be focused on a social level, et cetera, et cetera. And so we have to recognize just at its core that these are two different business models, and that artisanal can behave different than commodity. And commodity is forced into a corner, really, legally, with the legal structure in the United States and most countries around the world. So we can call them evil. I mean, it's fun to call them evil, right? Just call them bad guys and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, sure. And that's easy. And it's easy to feel that way because of some of the things they do as companies. So I think that at its heart and soul, they don't have a heart and soul.
That's super fair to say.
And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean it as an open reflection, right?
Yeah.
They simply don't, because they aren't built that way. They're built as machinery.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it wouldn't be fair to try and imagine that they should or could or would have a heart and soul. Okay, so you just got to structurally you recognize this. Now you say, okay, now how can they behave? Well, they can only behave in certain kinds of ways. And the fact of the matter is, small entrepreneurial companies, which are privately held, can behave differently. So, over a beer, as we sit out on the sidewalk of this wonderful place here in Buffalo.
Culture Bay, everybody.
Yeah. Where I'm having a phenomenal time meeting really great people. This is a big subject to cover. So with the True Craft Initiative, we imagine a world that we would work to try and help protect from sort of the natural and real forces of consolidation and homogenization, which have happened throughout human history. And there's nothing new about these forces. Yeah, you look like you're ready to ask a question.
No, there's absolutely nothing new about it. But in terms of the microcosm of craft beer, we had this big explosion, and it's been phenomenal. And now we're seeing the big machine kind of strike back. Well, but as they've struck back with purchasing craft brewers, and it's their prerogative to sell. Stone has put up money and created the True Craft Initiative as a counter to say, you know what, there is an alternative, and we have money for you to accept that alternative. And I
don't want to talk too big right now.
Fair enough.
Because we've not been able to bring into anything to fruition at this point.
Okay.
So it's so far it's been
It's been a lot of names.
We've had a lot of talking behind the scenes, a lot of conversation with craft brewers, and we believe in the idealism of craft beer and the independence of craft beer. We will, at a very minimum, continue to maintain that ethos ourselves. And if we have the opportunities to help other craft brewers maintain that, we will. But it's a complex world out there, and there's a lot of valuations that have been very high, a lot of sellouts that have been very, very high. While I haven't taken the money myself and I'm not interested, I can't blame somebody if they want to take a high dollar payout. It's not what I got into this for, personally. But it has given a lot of craft brewers a bit of an unrealistic idea of what their valuation might be. So, we'll see. It's complex times that we live in here today.
It definitely is, and I just want to reiterate I want to reiterate that where Stone stands and where you have stood inspires the hell out of me, and it means a lot to me, and I respect you immensely for taking the stand that you have. And as a result, like I told you before, I might be Buffalo's biggest Stone acolyte, and it's because of stances like this that the beer is always going to be priority, but you know what? It's more than that. It's what the company stands for, what you stand for, and I respect you, and I respect all of that, and thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Well, that's a lot. Hugely and massively flattered, and I can tell you one very specific thing, which is we will maintain the reasons that you have said that, right? We will maintain that. That won't change. It's what I believe in to my core. So thank you for appreciating it, because not everybody does.
I absolutely do. Cheers, Matt. Thank you.
Cheers to you. And cheers to all of you guys listening. If you made it this far, tap yourselves on the back.
No, our listeners will definitely appreciate this. I definitely appreciate this. And my absolute last note.
Okay.
The Chocoveza, man. Am I saying, for number one, am I saying it right? Chocoveza.
Yeah, Chocoveza, yeah.
Chocoveza. Okay, when it came out, loved it to death. My wife also, who is not a big, she's not quite, well, actually, ironically, as time has gone on, she's now into the big, bold, hoppy flavors, but that took years. The Chocoveza, though, she absolutely loved, and I absolutely loved. It was a one-time kind of only thing, and then, correct me if I'm wrong, a good friend of mine, Mr. Mike Barnes, started an online petition which many, myself included, people signed to make it a regular thing. Kind of, it got out there, and I hope, or I like to think that Stone listened, and it seems anyway that you did, because now Chocoveza is a regular thing, and oh my God, is it good? Can you maybe comment a little bit on that? Am I wrong?
Well, let me put it this way. It's easy to listen if you already feel that you agree with the commentary.
Okay.
We were on the same page. I don't know if I would say we are ahead of you or we are with you or behind you. It doesn't matter. We were on the same page.
Okay.
So it was that kind of commentary. It was our own internal feelings about the beer, plus the commentary from, things like that. So, you know what? Let me just rephrase that. Yeah, it was that.
Mike, you're welcome, sir. You asked me, and I asked, buddy. All right.
Mike, thanks for that. And, the world, actually, well, not the world, but the craft beer, a sliver of the craft beer drinking world who's an enthusiast about the Stone Chocoveza Mocha Stout. We thank you for your efforts.
Amen, man. Greg, I want to thank you very much for this time. I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming to Buffalo, and thank you for sitting down with me here on The Devil's Due.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Pleasure, brother. Pleasure.
And that was my interview with Greg Cook, co-founder of Stone Brewing, man. Once again, thank you, Coulter Bay. Thank you, Mike Schatzel. Y'all guys do great work, and I am very very happy that you guys are doing all the great things you do in town, because I get to reap the benefits of good beer. And thank you to Greg Cook especially for coming down to Buffalo and giving me the time. I really appreciate it. I got to meet kind of one of my heroes, and my hero bought me a beer, man. So it's super cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. We've had a really cool past couple weeks here on Devil's Due. It's been really exciting, and the episode posts have been kind of picking up in notices and retweets and shares, and we can't thank you guys enough for that. Please continue to do that. Please retweet our new episode announcements. Please share our Facebook posts when we have a new episode out. We're not asking you to retweet and share everything, but the new episode posts are really important to get the word out. Review us on iTunes. We really appreciate that, and we thank you. If you would like to reach out to us and communicate with us, ask us questions, make suggestions on the show, you can find us on Twitter at Devil's Due Pod. You can go to Facebook.com/Devil's Due Pod. You can email us at thedevilsdupod@gmail.com, or you can find all these resources available to you on our website, thedevilsdupodcast.com. Whew, another long episode in the bag, but we love doing it for you guys. Maybe we go to 2 episodes a week. Shorter episodes.
The breaks.
Just throwing it out there. No, thank you again for joining us and giving us your time. Any closing thoughts? Or?
No, man. I had a great couple weeks here, and a great interview, and thank you guys all very much.
All right, good stuff still to come. Keep the dial tuned in. Keep the app auto downloaded on.
That's gonna say.
However you do it. I'm old. Folks, thank you again for joining us. Court is adjourned.